So welcome to Healthy High Performance at Disruptive Spark. As you know, there are so many issues that leaders and leadership teams within organizations are constantly being bombarded with. And we like to make our space around how do we help leaders to be able to tackle these challenges, even when they're sort of outside their wheelhouse. So we're bringing in one of our favorite partners, Dr. Staci Weiner. Staci, say hello to everyone.
Oh, nice to be here. Thank you.
Yes, and we love Staci and her team at Apple Psychological because they are our partners in the actual, I don't know what the best way to say it, the actual psychological effect of the of work, right? Of what's happening at work. And we specifically asked Staci to join us today to talk about what we think is a really important topic for business owners and leaders. And it's the topic of how do you navigate in your organization? How do you lead people in the organization when some of these societal things are happening? They're not really happening maybe within your workplace, but you personally or your team is probably being affected by it, whether it's shootings, whether it's significant cultural things taking place, whether it's unfortunate or historic weather events that are creating so much of this chaos in our countries right now. We still have to run a business, but we have people with human emotions. So, Staci, I'm going to turn it over to you. When these big impactful thing happens, what happens for people and how does that affect their ability to be productive at work?
Yes, yes. So, as you said, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, right? We have school shootings, we have assassinations, attempts and assassinations, and we have wars that are going on in the world. And by definition, things are unpredictable. And that's not something that we are going to change. And leaders need to know that they do not have to have the answers for all of their staff. They don't have to solve the world's problems in order to create a positive working environment. So I just want to talk about creating a space where people can feel like they can show up, that they're safe, they could thrive and be productive at work despite the uncertainty that we cannot prevent.
I
So
think that makes
how,
so much sense.
yeah. So how do people respond? It's totally normal for us all to feel fearful or angry or concerned or anxious about what is going on. Those are all very normal feelings around that. And one thing that I would say leaders, that is important for leaders to do is allow for a space where people can express themselves and also show some vulnerability. Like, I know many of us are feeling shaken by the news. Um, I don't have solutions to these events, but I want you to know that you can talk about how it's affecting you. And this is a place where respect and care comes first. So we know that there are a lot of different political views out there, and if things can get heated. And you want to make sure in your space that people feel that they're respected, and that, and supported, right? So
Let
we
me just
want to,
stop you right
yeah,
there because I
yeah,
I think that is such a like you just gave people a soundbite, right? Like if I don't know what to say, most people don't know what to say, but being honest, being transparent about that, letting people know it's normal. Everybody wants to hear they're normal. The thing I took away too is like, as I'm sort of reading some comments around things that are happening right now, there's such a range of emotions. Some people feel sick in their stomach, some are enraged, some are in despair. Like,
yeah.
help leaders understand why is there such a range in that emotion? How come some people are feeling one thing and some people are feeling another?
Yeah. So we all experience trauma in different ways. Some people want to talk about it. Some people do not want to talk about it. Some people hold it inside until they're feeling physical symptoms, as you said, like stomach aches or headaches or pain of some sort. Those could be trauma symptoms. And we all experience things differently, right? We're all different. So that is important to know, that just because you might think you experience things one way might not be the way that somebody else is experiencing it.
Mhm.
So it's important to allow a person, if they are choosing to express, or if they feel like they need help dealing or coping with a trauma, that they have the space or the resources to do that. So yeah, so that's very important. Um,
I think that's so good.
yeah,
I think as I think about, so we gave people sort of a baseline of when something happens. It sounds like it is, you're saying it's better to acknowledge than to not acknowledge something has taken place. Like, what do you
absolutely.
think? Which is better, acknowledge it or don't acknowledge it?
Definitely acknowledge it,
Okay.
because it's the elephant in the room, right? We're all thinking about it. We all know. And this really impacts, as you said earlier, it impacts performance. We are not as focused. We can't concentrate on what we're doing. Definitely our work product suffers when we are going through various emotions related to what's going on in the world. So if we're not dealing with this in a psychologically healthy way, then we're going to suffer at work.
Gotcha.
And yeah,
So
so
can I ask you, like, just to
sure.
get into the nitty-gritty of it, is sending an email good enough? Do I pull people together? Like, how do you recommend in an organization people actually kind of go about addressing what's happening?
One right way to do it. I sort of believe in attacking it from a lot of different methods. So writing an email that acknowledges that this happened, especially, yesterday was 9/11, right? So, this, we all are thinking about it, right? We all have our story of what, especially New Yorkers, right? What happened that day, what we went through. We're thinking about it, right? So it's helpful to acknowledge it. If an email is nice, like, hey, I know, let's take a moment of silence to acknowledge 9/11 and the people who suffered and perished in 9/11. So, and also listing some resources. If you would like to talk about this further, feel free to talk to me about it, or you can reach out to so and so, so and so, and they can help
Yeah.
you,
Give them a
provide a
couple of
safer
places
space.
to go. If
Exactly.
companies have an employee assistance program, maybe there's some
Exactly.
resources, at the very least, getting some articles, some things like that. Great. So like email might be one way. Give us like another one or two ways you think it could work.
Yeah, I would say also, if you see someone who seems to be struggling, or if let's say that there was a particular situation that was very hard for that person, you could approach the person and say, "Hey, are you okay? Is there something, if you want to talk about it, I'm here for you." So just like a personal approach and letting that person know that they're not in trouble. It's okay that and you're noticing that they are struggling, and that's very, very meaningful to people.
Yeah, I was just
You
thinking,
know,
I'm like, that's so kind. Like if somebody came to me and said, is this affecting you in any way? Is this anything that you would like to talk with someone about or need some guidance with today? Like actually going to someone and asking that, to me, even if my answer was no, I would appreciate that someone took the time
definitely.
to do that. So is it safe to say that like if you're the leader in a company, maybe it's a bigger company, that would be great for you to do to your direct reports, and then maybe encourage each of your direct reports to, hey, just give everyone a quick call, check in, take a pulse check, how's everything going? Like it could almost be like, I think about it as like whisper down the lane at that game we played when we were little. It doesn't have to be just the leader of the company, but the leader of a department or the leader of the team could be the group kind of checking in that way.
Absolutely. And I think that's very meaningful to do kind of a wellness check and people know when you do that you care. And it
Mhm.
just creates an environment where you feel safe to express yourself and to ask for help. So even if you're not struggling in that particular moment, maybe the next time, if there's a next time that something happens or that you feel like you're struggling, you remember that, right? And you know that, okay, it's okay to ask for help. I can do that, and nobody's going to judge me here. So it's not only for that specific situation, but it's also for future situations as well.
I like that a lot. I want to see if there's one more way that we could give people. I'm thinking about, technology. We have all these Teams channels, Slack channels, things like that. Is
Mm.
that a space where you can kind of pull people together? And do you see that working in some way, or do you not recommend that?
I mean, look, I think that we can't assume how people want to cope with their situation. So we don't want to
Mhm.
force someone to talk about it if they don't want to talk about it, or if they don't feel comfortable. So that's super important. And that's why I think giving resources and letting people know that they're available while not making it mandatory or forcing them to do
To
these
do
things,
something.
because it takes time for people to process. Sometimes people aren't ready at the moment you are asking, or that you think they should be ready, or so it just different people take various amounts of time to process, sometimes years, before they can really talk about things.
Mhm.
So just letting them know. Do I think a group is helpful? Absolutely. I think that groups are wonderful to create a safe space, and also for it to be separate from work, because when you're at work, you need to cope, right? You need to be able to perform. So in that situation, it might not be the best space to just everybody's talking about their experience, because now we're really kind of unfocused on work. So, but that being said, if people do want to talk about it and they are provided with a separate space where that is the purpose of that group, it could be very healing and productive and supportive for people to feel that other people feel the same way as they do.
Okay. I like it. I like that a lot. So, I want to ask you a question because I feel like there's one type of tragedy and another type of tragedy. So there's some tragedies, 9/11, very unifying, a flooding, a
Mhm.
mass casualty event, something like it's very unifying. Everyone believes basically the same way.
Mhm.
There's also things happening that are very decisive. So one group feels one way about it, another group feels another way about it. So while one group might be, you know, suffering, another group is celebrating. I see that creating even more
Yes.
tension. Like, what do we do? How do we manage that? Like when there's something that's taken place that is in by nature somewhat of a not a same response situation.
So I think that it's important, and this is where the culture of the space and the leader comes into play here, because it's important to give the message to your team, your staff, that everyone must be respected. So it's, you might feel very differently than someone else, but everyone has the right to their own opinion. And, you know, maybe we shouldn't be talking about controversial things like this in the workplace. So we have to sort of assess how big of an issue this is.
Mhm.
And, maybe we need to acknowledge it and say it. Maybe we need to kind of deal with things separately with individuals who are having a problem with it. But for a company or a place of business to not tolerate any disrespect, um, when it comes to political opinions or, conflictual situations.
All right, that's great. That's great. Like focus on the value of every individual, not and in the workplace we're respectful of each other, regardless of whether or not we agree. We're
Exactly.
gonna have to agree to disagree. I think
Yeah.
that really might diffuse a lot of wanting to be right or needing to
Yeah.
kind of like to just diffuse that energy. It's not really for the workplace either.
Exactly. It's not productive. It's not why you're
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, I love it. So here's the last thing that I want to wrap up with as we kind of finish up this first discussion. But like, let's just say my emotions are raw, whatever that looks like. I'm feeling
Mhm.
sick to my stomach. Maybe I'm feeling extra angry. Maybe I'm jittery and unfocused. Like, what can I do, or what can leaders do that calms those typical responses? Do you have any good suggestions for us?
Yeah, so I think one good suggestion would be to pause before reacting. So when our feelings are raw, we're not really thinking clearly. So we might go to write that email or say something, and in that state, we're really not saying the most productive or probably nicest thing. So it's important to pause before reacting, take a breath before you're saying something in conversation or you're writing an email. Another suggestion would be name without blame. So I'm
Mm,
feeling anxious about the news today, right? You're not saying giving an opinion or saying it's someone's fault. You're just saying, I'm feeling really anxious. So somebody that's very open, somebody can respond to that in a very open way. You're not creating a conflict or offering, drawing in someone else's opinion or looking for someone to agree with you. You're just simply expressing your emotions.
I like that. You called that name without blame.
Yeah,
That's really good. So we've got pause, we've got name without blame. What else?
yeah.
Anything else?
One more. I have shift toward agency. So
Ooh.
sometimes when we're raw with emotion, we're just all over the place and we feel helpless, right? So if we kind of just focus in on what's one constructive step that I can do today? What can I do about this? Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes there's nothing I can do about it. And really, while that's difficult, um, it's also important to acknowledge that this is not something in my control. And I have to kind of cope with that uncertainty. But in other situations, there might be something you can do. You can support the troops, for example, like if it's a war situation, or you can give kindness to another person if it's something that is going on. Or so think about what's one thing that you can do, because very often when we help others, we're really helping ourselves too to feel
Mm,
better.
hmm.
So, and you feel like, okay, I'm doing something about this
Yeah.
situation, even if it's a little, one little thing.
Yep. I like
It's
that.
right.
I know, like when I see something completely out of my control, but I can even make a $10 donation. Like
Yeah.
you can't donate to everything, and
Yeah.
but even just like a nice $10 donation to something, like I feel like I've done something, like I've helped in
Exactly.
some way. I
Yeah.
tend to be a little bit more of a person that prays. So for me, I'll just kind of be in quiet self-reflection and send out a word of strength or a word of condolences, or just something that is meaningful, at least to me, and it gave me something that I felt like I could do. I think that's what you're talking about with that word
Exactly.
agency, right?
Yes.
Like I'm not
Yes.
powerless. I do have power. This
Yeah.
isn't out of control for me. I can be in control, and just finding that one simple thing
Yeah.
is more powerful than people think.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I really appreciate you, Staci, always jumping in
Yes.
whenever we're experiencing, these huge emotions and these heavy
Mhm.
emotions or big emotions. It is just, a part of the workplace that we do need to learn to navigate. And I always feel like you bring me back to center. I want to remind everyone of the work that you and your company does. And if people are looking for those services, tell them how they can get connected to you.
Absolutely. So our website is applepsychological.com. We have our phone number, all of our information on there. You could book online or give us a call. And we provide individual therapy sessions. We also provide group support sessions. We would create whatever you needed for your business and whatever you needed to do to support your team. We're happy to create a customized plan to help your team have the most optimal mental health, which is, as we said, so important in
Mhm.
productivity.
Yeah,
right?
without a doubt. Without a doubt. So much lost productivity is spent in like churning emotions. So investing some in, these strategies and techniques and creating space for that, I'm wholeheartedly believe is one of the easiest and most vital things that any leader can do for themselves or for their team. So definitely think about Staci. She is available in quite a few states. So definitely keep that in mind. All right, we'll be back with you again for some more healthy high performance and how to make sure that the workplace is, healthy and coping, even when it's big and challenging. And thank you for sharing such good insights.
Thank you so much for having me.